Welcome back to the Charismatic Voice. I'm always transparent with y'all about whether or not I've heard a song before, and I have heard this song many times. It's always struck me as having particular grit and great storytelling, but I've never done a deep analysis of it. I really want to do that because I want to fall more in love with this song. So I hope you'll take the next half hour with me and enjoy all of the little tiny details. Let's get to it. All right, we are immediately going to go back to the beginning, and here's why. This is the first time I have taken this song inside of a really good pair of cans. That means headphones. I always think it's such a strange name for headphones, but my first time really being inside of great sound quality while listening to this song. And I noticed some things that I'd never noticed before. Particularly, I love the way the space is established as we go through this intro. Each new set of instruments that's added establishes a different kind of space. It's really cool. So I'm going to go back to the beginning and check it out. So this initial guitar sound, it feels to me very melancholic. It feels lonely. It doesn't feel like it's in a huge space just yet. I wonder if they change the verb maybe when the other instruments start to come in. It it has some spaciousness to it, but I think it feels more lonely because it just feels like it's a little bit confined. Right there. As we essentially fill in this sort of imaginary stage with instruments, we got a lot more of the center of the sound here, right? We had a more lonely left there for that beginning. Then we got this center filled in, and it suddenly felt like, oh, this space, maybe it has both more in the front and more depth in it. And then I think we get one more piece here in just a moment. Yeah. Even right there, we started to get more. There was a bit of a panning that happened in one moment here. That sound established even more space. And there as well. So that was like the last piece in this whole set of instruments that said, lonely. Oh, maybe not so lonely. Also, this stage is a little bit bigger than we first heard. And then that last element that we just heard came in, that really said, oh, this stage actually has a lot of depth in it. I want to take it one more time from the beginning, just so y'all are with me and listening to how each instrument that's added adds more space. That's very nice mixing. Yeah, I feel like right there it also got a lot more height in the sound.
Mama told me when I was young, who sat beside me, my only son. Listen closely to what I say. And if you do this, it'll help you some sunny day.
One of the things that I'm able to notice now that I haven't caught before is how short a lot of these vocal phrases are. When we think about grand vocal performances, a lot of times we'll think about really long phrases where a person takes a breath and they're able to sing forever, right? Instead, you have Mama told me. Well, I'm going to pull up my lyrics right here. Mama told me when I was young. I mean, those were two different breaths, very short, and it wasn't even a complete sentence yet. Come sit beside me, my only son. This whole first stanza essentially is full of these little tiny sentences. They're all very simple structures. I wonder if this was pieced together with this idea of let's keep the whole thing simple, right? Simple Man, let's keep it all super, super simple. Not sure if that was pre-planned or just intuitive. Let's go back a little more. More. Here? There we go. Right.
When I was young, who sat beside me, my only son. Listen closely to what I say. And if you do this, it'll help you some sunny day.
Wow. I just heard a correlation to his sound that I've never thought about. Uh, Something in his resonance reminds me so strongly of Nina Simone, just one of the most incredible singers, by the way. If you haven't seen my video breakdown of Nina Simone's life and all this music, definitely check that out on The Singing Hole, just another channel that we sometimes post videos on. There's a bite in the sound. Obviously, there's a lot of bluesiness in it as well, but I feel like something in their just natural born anatomy, something about their facial structure, or really, it's really the vocal tract structure. It has some sort of similar resonance. That's super fascinating. Really, really cool. There are a couple of spots in particular that reminded me of her.
Closely to what I
Right
say.
there. That part had so much bite.
If you do this, it'll help you some sunny day.
There too. There's also something to do with the ornamentation. That little break is so much bigger than you can normally hear on radio or just passing. It feels so grand.
Some sunny day.
Right. Ooh, whoa.
Well, take your time.
Good.
Don't live too fast. Troubles will come. And they will pass. We'll find a woman. Yeah. And you'll find love. And don't
One of the things that makes this just really yummy to listen to is the way that it isn't 100% pitch perfect. Perfect. Gosh, Morgan James, just fabulous, fabulous current singer. She and I once were chatting about pitch correction, which she is avidly against. And having perfect pitch doesn't mean that it's a more perfect song. It just means that the pitch is more on. That doesn't make it better or worse necessarily. Yes, pitch is one of the things that people will judge first when they're thinking, is this good or bad? But being directly on pitch all the time sounds inhuman. It starts to lose expression and emotion. When we have emotion teeming through our bodies, it is natural for a voice to raise. It's natural for a heartbeat to go faster. And that would affect things like pitch in singing or even a tempo of a song. Uh, with all of the production we do on music and a lot of our contemporary music today, there's this analytical side, I think, that isn't totally wrong, but sometimes it can become overbearing and say, I will make sure all of the pitches fit on a grid, and I'm going to make sure all of the tempo fits on a grid too. That ultimately, I think, just takes out a lot of the beautiful human quality. Maybe it's a little easier to produce, right? A little quicker with some of those fast keys, but I want my music to sound human. I just really want it to connect to the imperfections of life. I want it to be more simple. I'm going to go back to that part. See if you can identify moments where it is just a little bit sharp or a little bit under, just a little more human.
Don't live too fast. Troubles will come. They will pass. We'll find a woman.
I love that little
You'll
side.
find love. And don't forget, son, there is someone.
Oh, that was a nice cover. So far, there's been this alternation between your verse and then you had a little instrumental interlude, and then I think we're going into the chorus here, and it's really pulled back on the instruments during the verse so we can get a lot more simple storytelling. And I think right here we're about to get that boom of the instruments with the full chorus, so we get the full effect.
Up above, and be a simple kind of man, or be something you love and understand. Baby, be a simple kind of man. Oh, won't you do this for me, son, if you can?
Now, earlier I mentioned when the drum kit really came in full blast. It was really when we got some cymbals in it that suddenly there was more height in the sound. Sometimes when I think about sound, I'm thinking about it almost like in this visualization of frequencies, where lower frequencies, lower notes will be at the bottom. So like your bass, especially, or your kick of a drum set might be in that bottom area. Cymbals are just hanging out really, really high. S's and certain sibilants in enunciations, those kinds of things. Those also hang out really, really high. And so sometimes the idea of height in a space also it starts to come into this idea of height within the frequencies as well. I feel like suddenly we have a taller ceiling with our frequencies, especially in the chorus here. There's a lot more cymbals, and it felt like it just grew taller. It was like a tree that just had a growth spurt. Back further. So we do have a very tight cymbal that's being closed pretty quickly in that area, and then right as we go in here, it just is allowed to ring a lot more.
There is someone up above.
Suddenly I have this delay that makes it a bigger space as well, or really a verb, like not a delay. The thing that's great about this whole soundscape right now is that Ronnie's voice in there has this incredible cut. This is going to come back to that resonance idea. There's, gosh, it's so interesting working with singers that are training for different kinds of goals, especially when we consider different styles and different resonances that are needed for different styles. With him and his singing, he's looking for something that's got a ton of cut. We do want depth in the sound as well. Like we want a balance there. But when you've got a full drum kit, a bunch of instruments as well behind it, you need a voice that's going to cut in a recording. The mix will help, but you need cut still. This is a different kind of cut than what an opera singer would need, right? Opera developed over 400 years. Rock developed over like 50 now. It's a very short time frame. Maybe it's 60 at this point. but it's not much time in the grand timeline of music. Opera and singing technique that almost all other singing is based on, it developed for so much longer than all of our contemporary singing, but it was developed to not be sung with a microphone. That's one of the things that's thrilling about opera and is just the ability of a singer to project over this full massive orchestra, and somehow you can still hear the singer and their voice will shake your bones, and that can be in an auditorium of 4,000 people without any microphone. That's amazing. But the kind of resonance that's needed to achieve that is relying on something that we'll often call a singer's formant. It's like 12th, 13th, 14th overtone. It's this like high harmonic enhancement of the voice that is achieved through years and years of practice and building awareness. And that carries out over the orchestra. It's one of the main reasons you still hear a voice continue without any amplification in that setting. This is so different here because you need room for the cymbals on top. And that kind of resonance is just, it's not required. Instead, we need cut. It's a different kind of resonance. So when I hear this, I just think about, okay, well, what does that feel like? Where does that buzz happen in his face? It's amazing. I think a lot more with contemporary forms, contemporary genres of singing. The buzz tends to be a lot more here focused, whereas you tend to have a lot more up kind of dome focus in opera. So when I hear him sing with this incredible resonance here, I'm just thinking about the fact that his face must be buzzing off. Just like, feels like it's gonna go, just like explode out. I love that extra grit he puts in too. Oh, there's that loneliness again. It's not just in the space, it's also just in the pitches. Get your lust? Is that the word?
Get your lust.
Forget your lust.
All that you need is in your soul. And you can do this, baby, if you try. All that I want for you, my son, is to be satisfied and be.
I love those lyrics. That's beautiful. Like that's what I want for my son. Just follow that deep desire. Figure like first uncover it. Get to know yourself well enough that you know exactly what is driving you, what your heart really wants, and then follow that. Just go after it. It's so much more important to follow something that is deep in here than running after money. I don't think that money is inherently evil. I don't know why that's ingrained in some sort of background of my culture upbringing, and why I see a lot of times people online criticizing things that are making money. I think money can be used for extraordinary good. It can be used to help so many people, and a business being successful doesn't mean it's bad. It maybe there's bad things behind it, that just making money isn't bad. If that money is being used to help spread something that is good, that makes me really, really excited. But the important thing is you have to have the heart going after the thing that is good first. And I love that this set of lyrics is all about going after something that is just really, really, truly important. Find what's important first. And then, hey, if money helps spread the thing that's important, all power to you.
It's in your soul.
I love that. All that you need is in your soul.
this way. If you try, all that I want for you, my son, is to be satisfied and be a simple kind of man, or be something you love and understand. Baby, be a simple kind of man. Oh, won't you do this for me, son, if you can? Oh, yes, I will.
Wow. I thinking about this more in within the scope of uh, several of the band members dying tragically in a plane crash. I think that it has even more impact. This is the kind of thing that I love. I love getting to learn about while doing analysis on this channel. I didn't know when listening to this song previously that there was this tragic plane crash and that lead singer here that we're analyzing died in it. And when you hear this plea for a simple life and just following the soul, you say, wow, I'm so glad that that was his plea at this point, because so many people save up money and they're, yeah, it's good to save, but so many people are aiming for something later in life. And it sounds like he was begging for life to be real in the moment. You can't live your best days or save them for tomorrow. You have to live your best days now. Yeah, do save some, but give your all, I think, in the now, in the present. You don't know if it's going to be there tomorrow. So it's super, super beautiful. It makes me, it's like bittersweet listening to right now.
Kind of man, or be something you love and understand. Baby, be a simple kind of man. Oh, won't you do this for me, son, if you can? Oh, yes, I will.
Ooh.
Oh, don't you worry.
I don't know if that is normally included when this song is placed in something or played on the radio. I don't know. That felt so fresh and different to me. I don't think I've ever, if I've heard that guitar solo, well, guitars soloing before, I don't know. I did not pay attention to it. It was wild. I love having the multiples at the same time. It's just, it also had some sort of like screaminess to it. There's your technical term from the day, screaminess. It was so not pitch perfect or on a grid. Again, love that. I want to go back a little bit. What's is it here? Cats. No, back further. Here. Oh, just have to say his little asides there. I also had never noticed them before until I got these like really nice headphones on and listened to how personal and sometimes snarky those are. It's got so much character. Okay, guitars. Ooh. Nice harmony. And there's just such good drive. that approaches a pitch and then tumbles over it. It almost feels like instead of nails down a chalkboard, it feels like they're crawling up, but like in a good way. Make that tone a little bit sweeter. One of the things that's also interesting in this is a lot of times we have those shorter phrases, which are mimicking a lot of the shorter phrases in the verses. So ba 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 ba, right? Just as if you had just a few words that were being said by the guitar. I like the weightiness of this too as a contrast. It just really grounds us, which is appropriate to the song.
Oh, don't you worry, you'll find yourself. Follow your heart.
Ah, that's a good example of one of the beautiful, I would say, stylisms that he has. He often will end a note and then like swing up just a tiny bit at the end. Like it's not really a cry, it's just a little lilt up. One more time.
You'll find yourself.
That's straight on.
Follow your heart
Right there. That's that lilt up.
and nothing else.
So that lilt up has happened in a lot of different places. I almost stopped it so many times, but there's just so many good things in here to talk about. One more time back so you can hear it again.
And nothing else.
Oh, got it back further.
Follow your heart
Right there.
and nothing else. You can do this, oh babe, if you try. All that I want for you, my son, is to be satisfied.
Good. I was hoping we'd get to a point where we could talk a little bit about that resonance placement, just a little bit more. I've been thinking a lot about what does that feel like? Like again, yeah, faceplate being smashed off by cool resonance. I got that image, but it there's just I guess when I listen to a singer, I'm always wondering what if I was trying to recreate that sound? Where would that sound be recreated in my face? Like, not just faceplate, but is there a specific spot? And I've mentioned also that he has a lot of bite in his sound, similar to Nina Simone there. If you think about biting an apple, this is a hilarious analogy that a college voice teacher of mine back at Oberlin used to always give to me. I didn't get it at first, to be totally honest. I was like, I don't know. I bite the apple with the front of my teeth. If you think about a big apple, and what if your molars were helping out with that bite too? All right, then there tends to get this like feeling of height across the roof of the mouth. And then when you talk about bite in the singer's sound, it's that idea. The lips peeling back, right? Bite that apple. That's the bite and the feeling in the mouth that can create this kind of sharp forward sound. There's also a focus I feel that's really just up above the canines, very much also adding some nasality to it, to the point where I almost feel like a rabbit wiggling my nose to try and get it to thread up through that area. So I've got bite in a couple different areas, essentially, in the mouth that are as being activated for this sound. If you think about an ah vowel, that and ease, those two tend to have the most natural bite in them. And for that reason, a lot of times I hear him moving towards that kind of vowel shaping. Let's go back a little bit and I'll try and point out where that sound is most apparent.
You can do this, oh babe, if you try.
So when he goes, instead of being baby, a lot of times mms will have a more puckering of the lips and a little more rounding here. He's like, mm. There's a little lift here. That's like if I were to see him performing this live, I'm sure I would see a little squinch up right at that moment.
You can do this, oh babe, if you try.
The I has that
All
bite.
that I want for you, my son, is to be satisfied.
And thigh. That is, oh my gosh, it's so much bite. It almost feels like his hard palate is about to just tilt forward even more. Wow.
For you, my son, is to be satisfied. And be a simple kind of man, or be something you love and understand. Baby,
I should have mentioned earlier the contrast between phrasing of the verses and chorus is wonderful. The simple kind of man is elongated so much more. So those phrases are longer and it shows a lot more longing for this ideal.
you love and understand. Baby, be a simple kind of man.
So much bite.
Won't you do this for me, son, if you can? Baby, be a simple man. Oh, be something.
Well, he didn't go back into it. I wanted him to go back into one thing I heard earlier in the chorus, which was this sort of grit that happened, almost like a little Louis Armstrong rattle. Sometimes we think that's created by the arytenoids rattling together, or sometimes ariepiglottic folds. But it had a really lovely, it adds to that essence of grit. Overall, though, I remembered this song having more grit in the voice than I heard this time. Maybe there's just a drive behind all of the instruments, and there is that occasional grit for sure, which, gosh, I mean, I'd love to know how that was actually created. We're doing research on understanding all of these other structures in the vocal track that can create grit like that. Definitely, I don't know if it'll be released by the time this video comes out, but we have a pretty awesome set of research that's reviewed in a video that we're going to release very soon, if it is not already, that discusses these other sources of phonation, essentially, that happen in the vocal tract. Sources that go smacka, smacka, smacka instead of wacka, 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 and they create distortion on the sound instead of a pure tone, a pure pitch. However, his sound is creating much more pure, powerful pitch than I recalled. I think that's pretty awesome. It's amazing how powerful and how memory will just sort of extrapolate certain things. I was probably really impressed at one point in life by hearing that grit come in and was like, whoa, is that good? Questions to be answered soon. Anyhow, back one more time and we'll let it finish out.
Kind of man. Won't you do this for me, son, if you can? Baby, be a simple.
That's just clean drive right there.
Oh, be something you love and understand.
Gosh. I love the vibe of this song. I feel like I could listen to it over and over and never get tired. It's one of those songs that is like an everyday. It's a desert island kind of song, right? Who's with me? I want to know in the comments below what your desert island song is. And while you're thinking about that, I'm going to put up a playlist over here of some really, really cool science and some more times that I've reviewed similar voices. And may you fall more in love with music every day. Mwah!